Hey everybody, good morning. Hope you're having a good Monday. We are on Unit 27, Session 1. So we're on Unit 27, Session 1. Now I know a lot of you have talked about you don't have this packet yet, and that's because we moved on to a new unit. And so you should be getting an email this week that has this week's lesson as well as all the lessons for Unit 27. And we'll also have some hard copies available to you as well if you need that. But easiest way is again going to be by email. So just be looking for that this week. In fact, it may be in the email that we normally send about Sunday school. So, but we are talking about the resurrection this week, and so we are in John chapter 20, verses 1 through 10. John 20, 1 through 10. And essentially, what this passage talks about is it talks about when Mary goes down and they find that the tomb is empty, right? The crucifixions happen. This is the third day. They're going to further prepare his body, and because of the Sabbath was coming up, they didn't really have time to prepare Jesus's body like a traditional burial would be. So they were probably going to further prepare his body to be ready for proper burial. But he was gone, right? They walk in and Peter comes down and he finds that the linen that they wrapped him in, the cloth that was over his face, was folded up nicely right there in the tomb, but Jesus was not there. And so it is very clear that Jesus is alive. I may even send in the email link, or in the email, I might send a link about different theories about the resurrection, how people try to disprove the resurrection. They say like the stolen body theory, the swoon theory, all those things. But the reality is this: if he's folded up his clothes, no one's going to take a mangled dead body that's already decaying without having those linen wraps around him. So that's a apologetic point right there of why the body probably wasn't stolen. Because that'd be pretty disgusting. You'd want to carry the body with the linen wrapping and everything. But there's a whole lot of stuff to go there. But really what I want to talk about for our purposes this week is, let's just jump right to what the resurrection accomplishes, right? I mean, we understand that he's raised from the dead, and you won't find a lot of these in your packets this week. However, it's implied throughout it. So I just want to talk about just two implications of the resurrection, right? Two implications of the resurrection. One, the resurrection raises us, or it gives us the ability to be raised one day. We can have faith that one day we will rise again with Christ, because he's done it first, right? He's done it first. We know that death is not the end for us here on earth if we're a believer, right? We know that we get to go and be with Jesus forever in heaven, and so the resurrection, what it provides is it provides a way in which we can be raised as well, right? If Jesus can do it himself, surely we can. But secondly, like without the resurrection, and this is the big point, without the resurrection, there is no gospel. I mean, without the resurrection, there is no gospel. Paul talks about this a lot in his letters, especially in 1 Corinthians. Like a couple things, like, okay, if let's say Christ does not rise again and the resurrection never happened, a couple things. One, that would show that death is stronger than God. And you and I both know that's not true, right? Not even death can stop him. And it's important for us to remember that, yes, Jesus was killed. Like he did die. He was dead, but like he laid his life down. He willingly gave his life up, right? I mean, he had the complete power to not die. Like he had the complete power to call down angels or whatever he wanted to do, but he laid his life down for us. He laid his life down for us. He did that willingly. And so he's not submitting to death, but he's submitting to the Father's wrath that that is being poured out to judge sin. And so he did have to die that death, but if he never raises again and the book ends, then what that looks like is that death is stronger than God. And that's just not true, right? The resurrection proves that death is not stronger than God. I mean, he defeated death. And then another thing too is like if the resurrection didn't happen, we would have no heaven. We would have no hope for tomorrow. There's no life beyond earth if Jesus didn't rise again. And here's the thing: heaven does not exist without Jesus, right? I mean, you don't have heaven without Jesus. I mean, that's what heaven is. It's being in his presence, his perfect presence for the rest of eternity. And so I just want us to think about some of these things this week, is like what the significance of the resurrection really is, right? The resurrection raises us, and without the resurrection, there is no gospel, right? And because of those things we talked about, because Jesus is stronger than death, and heaven is a place where Jesus is, or the resurrected Lord is, and that's what makes heaven so great. Like I said, I'll attach a link to some of the theories that a lot of atheists have about why Jesus didn't raise from the dead, and that might be a good way to start off the lesson, just to kind of get students' attention and whatnot. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you later.